The Leading Force is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Together we'll go far.
Welcome again to the show Leading Force. With us we have Honorable Assemblyman Deputy Speaker from New Jersey State, Upendra Chivkula. Upendra ji, when you look back on your last almost now 15-17 years of active public life, where you're hardly looking to make money, you're serving people left, right and center, one single thing that comes to your mind you have accomplished already.
I think we have, in New Jersey, being the first South Asian to be elected to office and trying to bring about some of the values that we as South Asians carry to the assembly, to the legislature, and trying to show that some of the things that we are capable of doing given the opportunity. I think that's an important thing. And in terms of whether some of the legislations, trying to get recognition for Diwali, and I think that's an important thing. A lot of the schools are giving Diwali as an optional holiday in the school system. We have a heritage languages program where whether it's Hindi, Urdu, or Gujarati, or any other language, heritage language, that is given credit in the local school systems. And also there was one thing interesting, the New Jersey laws in the statute, they only recognized, 30 years old law, only had two religions were recognized. One is Judaism and the other one was Christianity. And I was approached to add other religions. I said there are so many of them. So what I have done is I was able to successfully get the reference to those two religions removed to make all the religions equal.
So it's essentially inclusive, not being exclusive by nature.
That's
very,
right.
very
Most
nice.
people doubted, how can you do that? You are only one legislator and you are the only, so how can you do that? And I didn't have a counterpart in the Senate, but I was able to do it with the overwhelming majority.
The same thing goes for you, for your very innovative idea on the energy policy that you are kind of clearly considered to be the champion of. Tell us more about your energy policy and the way you're, what is that? What is that unique view you carry?
Well, I think energy is the number one issue right now. If you look at the United States, it's a national security issue. We spend billions of dollars, more than $1 billion every day, sending overseas for oil, and our dependence on foreign oil is ever increasing. That's one thing. Then we have to figure out ways to come up with renewable sources of energy, whether it's a solar, wind, they're abundant, and they're also not using fossil fuels, so that means we are respecting our environment. And New Jersey, as you know, we have a very high rate of respiratory illnesses, and we have a lot of pollution coming from other states west of us. And by creating renewable energy sources and cutting down the greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and other gases, we can provide a better environment and also impact climate change. And so I came up with the policy on solar renewable energy certificates, which is a market-based program. For every megawatt hour of energy generated, you can get one certificate, and that certificate can be traded in a marketplace. And at one time they were fetching about $650 per megawatt hour. And what it did that really jump-started the solar market in New Jersey. We used to be number 2 to California. Now we are number 1 in terms of total number of installations as well as number of installations per square mile. And New Jersey is the hottest market for solar. And similarly in the area of, we don't have much wind on land, but if you go 23 nautical miles into the ocean, we have class 4 winds, and we have a legislation creating offshore wind energy, renewable energy certificates. And so we're in the process of creating that. It's going to create thousands of jobs, and we'll have at least 1,100 megawatts of wind energy. So we need to constantly look for whether it's biomass, geothermal, solar thermal, we need to look for that type of energy sources.
That is very, very innovative. And on the same note, when you look at today, lots of states in US, you look at Utah, you look at Virginia, you look at Maryland, at some point even New York, they're all building their own bridges with India today. sometimes it's a good and bad relationship between Washington DC and India, but states are saying, look, we have to do what we have to do. Are you trying to build a corridor between New Jersey and India, or a particular state or few states of India in terms of trade relations?
No, definitely. I think we already have, because New Jersey, as you know, has one of the largest Indian American population, South Asian population,
right.
And we have a number of businesses under the business process outsourcing. New Jersey was almost #1. A lot of jobs were outsourced to India and other countries. We have set up companies here. They are in the area of IT. Now in the area of biotech, we're trying to do, New Jersey does a lot of business, and we're trying to see how we can take some of these renewable energy technologies to India, different states, and wind and solar. Solar is right now expensive, so maybe wind, try to see how we can create that partnerships. And so we are trying to create some delegations going. A lot of the times people take delegations, take a congressman and governor, unless you have clear objectives and also clear follow-up. A lot of times people
like you
go
just
there.
saw in Virginia, governor did it, and he sent a trade group. He came back, deals are closed.
Right, that's the type of approach we need to do. And under Corzine administration, we were planning to take Governor Corzine, but that did not materialize because he had the accident. But under Christie, we're trying to do that, but Christie has a different objective right now. So, but we can do as a legislative delegation, we can create those partnerships. And a lot of politicians from India, they come here trying to create some sister city relationships, and we can do that way.
Looking at the national level right now, Indo-US relationships have certainly taken a good swing. But it seems sometimes, a seesaw. Yes, go, and then there is a no go. You really think the US is serious about its relationship with India? Is it just they need another very strong ally, or they need a really trusted partner and a friend? Because India has a certain character. Are they clear what they want?
Well, it all depends on the bureaucrats. They're pretty much dictating the policy, and the elected officials. And if you look at it in Congress, we don't have a single representative in either the House or the Senate of Indian origin. I think it's very much needed, very much needed. And they have this caucus on India and Indian Americans. They have not been able to foster that type of continued. I mean, they like sporadically come one or two, but I think we need to have that continuous relationship. If you take a Black caucus, you take the Hispanic caucus, there's constant action that is going on. And I think that's where the NRI community has to get involved, engage the elected officials. And I think unless we do a lot of advocacy, it is going to be, hit or miss type of relationship.
But you touched a very interesting point about, building a bridge between the lawmakers and the community. And as you are yourself called what they call go-to lawmaker, have you thought of trying to build a bridge between the lawmakers, even if it's just the New Jersey state, and the community?
Oh, definitely. What we have done in that, whenever there is a celebrations, Republic Day celebration, we have taken a lot of the legislators. We led the delegation from New Jersey to New York. We brought Ambassador Prabhu to the the assembly, where he was able to talk about after the Mumbai terror attack, and also after the budget address. So he was able to come and talk, and trying to that type of bilateral movement between the state New Jersey and New York is going to be helpful. And at the same time, when they have a lot of events that are going on, community events, we're trying to bring the lawmakers to those events, let them understand, because we do have the cultural competency requirement in medical profession. So we're trying to have through NGOs, trying to see how we can make that more workable in the workplace.
So while you're building all this all along, continuously growing, what is the next level of plan? Because you are at your prime, the relationships between the community and the mainstream is at the prime, and now Indo-American relationship is at the prime. How about Chivukula for Congress?
Of course, looking for opportunities. Right now, we just came out of the redistricting process that is set for 10 years. And there is no opening right now. I think the earliest opportunity that arises, I would run for Congress.
And if you look at Washington DC, Obama, especially President Obama, has had the largest contingent from the Asian side, especially in different high-level positions. You look at the Chief Technology Officer, Chief Information Officer, and Commerce, and this and that. Have they approached you?
Not yet. Yeah, we have not done that. But I think one of the things, even though he appointed all these people, he does not have a single cabinet level position.
That's what I'm saying. The people he got were mostly a technocrat or in commerce, but we are looking at policy making. That's what I said. And they don't have too many choices out there. You are one person sitting here in New Jersey, and when they think, let's talk about policy making. Let's not talk about just technology and VPO and commerce and this and that. They need to start thinking Washington DC how to build a good policy, a reliable policy, a trusting policy with the subcontinent. Forget just about India. And for that they need a brain, the Indian or the subcontinental brain. So I thought, they may think it most appropriate to approach you. If you are a congressman, good, you are a very strong voice up there and who can help them think about it. But even otherwise the administration can bring up
I think you made a very good point. I think we do need policymakers in Washington, in Obama administration, maybe after the re-election. And there are opportunities, not just only for me, but maybe there are other elected officials also who have excelled in policy making. We need to make that happen. I think it's the community has to make some noise about it, and it's not that I when I met President Obama, I cannot say, I want to come to your administration. It doesn't work that way. I think as a community we have to come together and we have to promote a lot of our people. It's just not just me. There are other people in the community who deserve that opportunity to show what they are capable of in the administration.
So have you thought of creating some kind of a media conference sometime or a media conclave whereby you bring in the mainstream and media comes in and they help get the information disseminated, get the voice heard?
Not the way you structured it. I think it's a very good idea, probably something to think about. Yeah.
Looking at President Obama, what do you think, second term? Is he coming in?
I think so. All the indicators are that he is going to come back because it's not clear who the opponent is going to be. And also there are a few factors we have to consider. The price of gasoline is going to be a critical factor one needs to look at. The unemployment rate has been steady at 8.3%, and even though we are adding number of jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs, it's been steady. And as long as the president can establish that, look, we are going in the right direction, and people believe that, I think I don't see any doubt.
Do you think President Obama in his second term will be able to resurrect, rebuild the America that you dreamt of?
Well, it all depends on what happens in the Senate. House and Senate elections are happening, and if the Democrats can gain majority, then he will have much easier time achieving that. If it is all Republican, he will have a very, very tough time because of some of the factions in the Republican Party, how they are pulling it too far to the right. It's going to be very difficult. But I think President Obama already showed that African American can get elected to the presidency, and he talked about creating that Obama healthcare, which is going towards the universal healthcare. It's got its own legal challenges, but I think showing that it is one of the richest country in the world, 40 million Americans have no healthcare, and trying to solve that problem, I think kudos to him. And I think another major thing he needs to look at in his second term is the immigration policy, which is really broken. Congress doesn't have the courage to stand up and address that issue. We have 12 million Americans, immigrants who are undocumented. They are in limbo. The children especially who are brought in when they are 2 or 3 years old, and they can't go anywhere because there is no way of adjusting their status. They cannot get higher education because they have to pay higher fees, and also afraid of being rounded up. And I think we as a nation to look at this comprehensive immigration reform, not only for the people who are skilled labor, but also people who are here for the last several years. We need to solve that problem. Hopefully we can do that.
I think certainly we are in for that, as you said, probably with President Obama and Upendra Chivukula either in a cabinet position or probably as a congressman. But thank you so much for coming on our show.
Thank you.
As we say, leader, innovator, and embodiment of an American dream for any immigrant. He's the man to watch for next 10 years. Thank you once again. This is Sunil Hali signing off on The Leading Force. Goodbye.
The Leading Force is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Together we'll go far.